Welcome to the Author Spotlight Show. I am your host, Gail Watson, and it is my absolute pleasure to guide you through captivating conversations with some of the most illustrious authors in today's world. Get ready to delve into the minds and stories behind the written word as we uncover the inspiration, craftsmanship, and fascinating journeys that shape their exceptional works. Today, it is my pleasure to introduce you to the award-winning Francis Audet, author of 3 books, who brings his passion and his knowledge to create much-needed change in our workplace. And if you are a manager, you are not going to want to miss this show. He kicks off his website with the headline in bold letters, "It's time to get to know me." So let's do just that. Welcome to the show, Frank.
Thank you very much, Gail. Thanks for the introduction. Appreciate it.
Oh, well, thank you. I just love your book because you really take a whole new look at how we lead in the business world today, and and really bridging that gap between the stress we feel and the efficiency that we need to
Totally.
produce. But before we go into this book, um, you begin your whole journey back in 1998 in Mali. Could you tell us a little bit about that time and maybe what you learned?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, Mali, that's been a long time ago, but I guess a part of Africa is always a little bit in me. I was a volunteer there for a project. It was only a 5-month project. And of course, being from Canada, from the Western world, it's efficiency, it's work, it's accomplishing. And when you get to a place like Mali, the beat and the rhythm is different. I mean, there's awesome rhythm in Africa with the music and all, but just especially way back then, um, yeah, the pace at which life was unfolding was just not the same, and that's probably my biggest lesson from those years, and it still shows today, and it's in my book, it's in my courses often that I give. But in those days, they saw the Malians, the people from West Africa, they saw time as a resource, whereas we often see that as a constraint. We're always missing time. We never have enough time. Where when you shift your perspective and seeing time as a resource, well, the resource is there. What do you do with that resource? Just like for money or for food in your fridge, the resource is there. What do you do? How do you optimize it? It's a totally different perspective, and it's once you adapt and learn to view your life, your work, your family with that perspective, it changes a lot. It changes pretty much everything, actually.
That's interesting that time, when you think about it, time is, I mean, we're all given that those 24 hours in a
Mhm.
day, and for some of us, it causes stress, and for others,
Yeah,
they know how to manage it.
totally does. Yes. Yeah. So
So,
that's my big keep away from Mali, amongst many others, but something that I tried to yeah to put into to incarnate in my daily life here and to share it.
awesome. So let's jump forward to
Yep.
2005, where you read The Art of War and were
The
inspired
art.
by that. And I understand that this paved the way for you to develop your mentoring and internal training programs. You also wrote a book following
Mm-hmm.
that. So tell us a little bit about that time.
Yeah, the art of war, going from West Africa to ancient China. The art of war, written by supposedly Sun Tzu. People say he's a legend and it's a myth, but nonetheless, he's the unofficial author of the art of war. It's been translated. I believe, if we trust some of the websites, it's one of the most read book in management and yeah, in corporations. Um, at face value, of course, the art of war is 13 chapters, like 2-page chapter. It takes 20 minutes to read, and boom. And you can say I didn't understand anything, or it's Chinese for me, or whatever. But then the important aspect that I felt, and a little bit like in my book, and I'm not comparing myself to Sun Tzu in any way, shape, or form, but take a chapter, take those 30 lines of chapter one, and sit on them for a week, 2 weeks, a month. What do they mean? How do they relate? How can you incorporate that? And a lot of people will and have read The Art of War in the concept of a battle itself. I'm company A. I want to beat my competitors, and how do I do that? And that the art of war is a gem for that, obviously. But that was not my role. My role was I have a team, I have some allies, some direct reports, some indirect reports. How can I use the wisdom of the art of war and to make all that machine much more fluent, to oil everything, if we want to say, to make that team, the direct report and the indirects and the allies and the partners and the suppliers, everything move flawlessly towards the end goal, which in the art of war is obviously winning. But in the case of a manager, it's achieving objectives, achieving your growth, et cetera, et cetera. So how to relate 2000 plus years old military intelligence into today's management, again, from the perspective of facilitating and bringing efficiency and peace of mind, as you said in the introduction.
Mm. So that brings us to today.
Yeah.
We must note that you have held a variety of management positions throughout your career, but now, like you said, you bridge into this, bringing the more Zen into our workplace, and
Mm-hmm.
this is what I really want to dive into, like what
Yeah.
exactly that means, because you have just recently published your new book, Memoirs of a Zen Manager:
Mm-hmm.
52 Ways to Increase Managerial Happiness, Success, and Efficiency. So let's dive into that and tell us what
Yeah.
inspired you to write that.
Well, thanks for the question. As you mentioned earlier on, I did write the book specifically on the art of war. Through that, I got some mentorship, some coaching. A lot of people at the office wanted to learn and be trained, if you want, and as to how that could work for them. And the more I was doing that, the more I was realizing that a lot of people, regardless if they're managers or not, uh, they're not necessarily happy in their work life. They're not necessarily if we take a Maslow's hierarchy of needs, they're not necessarily at the top of being, enlightened. And so I always try to use my role as either direct or indirect manager to try to coach slash mentor people I was working with, maybe not directly, but just in the way of asking things, in the way of working with them, or informal discussions at the coffee machine or whatever, just always to try to make people grow a little bit, to make them think a little bit differently. Again, not as official coaching, but just have you thought of that? Could you, what if, just like Tony Robbins once said, ask the questions differently and you'll get different answers. So that's a little bit what I was trying to do. And then COVID hit. We all remember COVID. And so a lot of that kind of disappeared because it was Zoom meetings only when you had the meeting on a specific topic. So all that informality was hard to sense and feel and get through. So that's when I thought, oh, okay, well, what's my other way of transmitting this? And I thought, well, let's put all my ideas and concepts and thoughts and knowledge and experience. And I'm not saying they're right, it's just my perspective on paper. And so took 2 years. I did one article every 2 weeks. There's 26 week a year. That therefore, as you mentioned, the subtitle is 52 ways. So 52 weeks, one every 2 weeks. It took me 2 years to write that, and then publishing and et cetera, et cetera. So there's a little bit of the art of war in there. There's a little bit of the art of happiness by the Dalai Lama. There's a little bit of everything, but it's all how to change your state of mind, or how to have little tools and tips to really try to achieve more while maintaining your Zen and inner peace, that we like to say in Buddhism, having inner peace and inner stillness, while still obviously achieving and overachieving most of the time.
I love that. And I love that this is 52 ways translated to the 52 weeks of the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let's talk, like, when we're talking about getting this book in the hands of individuals, who is who is the person that needs to read this book?
There's two answers to that one, Gail. There's the easy answer. The title is called Memoirs of a Zen Manager, and it's 52 ways to improve in management. So middle-class managers, whether they're seasoned or new managers, a manager deals with stress, pressure, objectives, human resources, direct and indirect, demands, objectives, you name it. And there's daily challenges, regardless if your challenge is on time management, as we discussed, on delegation, on training your team, on retention, on motivation, on just your own personal growth. Again, there's 52 chapters. Chances are 5 to 7 of those chapters will be totally irrelevant for you as a manager because you're not facing that challenge, but that 5 to 10 chapters will totally change your life. Just if you take that approach into perspective. And the chapters that will change your life today might be different than those that will change your life in 2 years or that would have changed your life. So it doesn't mean that there's 5 to 7 totally useless chapters. It just depends who you are, obviously. So that's the easy answer. Middle level managers, everybody, every single manager that I've met and that I've known of, that I've coached, that I've trained, can say at least a few chapters says yes. And so it's a small investment to change your managerial life and to help you achieve more, obviously. The longer answer to that is, well, we're all managers. I mean, you manage your kids or your meals or the plumber or whoever, or I mean, we all have our challenges that we need to manage and we need to face. We all have plans that don't go according to plan. So therefore we need to manage insecurity and decision, chaos, or whatever. So regardless of who you are, there's a chapter in there for you. There's some chapters are dedicated to managerial managers. So there's maybe only 2/3 of the chapters that are broader, but everybody that's willing or looking to become something a little bit better, more efficient, and or zenner, can we say that, more zen, then that book's for you.
I love how you've really taken into consideration and put the effort into writing this book so it meets us as an individual
Mm-hmm.
wherever we are in our journey.
Yeah.
Now you talk about 52 ways. That's a lot of ways. Is there an overall, is there one thing that you would like a reader to take away from this book?
I would say that the main thing is, and we did discuss this a little bit on, is that uh, that gap is bridgeable. Regardless of how you feel today, if you feel you're overwhelmed, stressed, 2,000 posts all around your screen that you just can't get a feeling that you do these 20+ hour days, but yet your to-do list is always increasing. You just have no idea how you're going to get out of it. There's a way. There's a Zen way to, and it's not overnight. I mean, 52 chapters. If you take a couple of weeks to each chapter just to digest and to see how it makes sense for you, but nonetheless, there's a way. And I like the analogy of a. I've got a phone here. I'm sure you have a phone. You have a car. You've got a PC. When the PC or the phone is not as performant, well, we change it or we update it or we work on it. We invest in improving our material environment. Well, this book is a small investment in yourself. I mean, a lot of managers and people that I've met, they don't shy behind investing a little bit more to have a better PC and again a better phone, to have an upgrade on their car or their broken doorknob or whatever. Who really takes the time to invest in themselves? I mean, we may have 20 cars in our lifetime. We have only one body, one mind, and one life. And that book is just, yeah, open the door to yourself and see how you can invest there.
Absolutely. So this is really a guidebook that really combines those Eastern philosophies with strategic insights to help managers find their balance
Mm.
while increasing their efficiency and success
Yeah.
with your 52 approaches.
Well, that's what I
So
feel it is. Yeah. Sorry.
absolutely. And so if someone's listening right now, where can we get a copy of this book?
The book is going to be is offered on all the major platforms, obviously Amazon, Google, and Apple, and most of the big libraries as well. Barnes and Noble, just to name a few. So Google my name, Google Memoirs of a Zen Manager, and you'll find it.
That's terrific, Frank. And also, we can't forget that you are somebody that goes into companies as a trainer, as a coach that can work with organizations and or individuals, correct?
Mhm. Yeah, totally.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
where can we learn more about you? What's your website?
My website is quite simple. It's francesaudet.com. So there's a link to the book there, but there's also a few sections on the various services that I offer. And as you mentioned, I am a certified professional coach. So I do some coaching, life coaching, mainly managerial coaching, but not only that, either one-on-ones or with groups, speaker conferences, workshops. Again, mainly focus on increasing managerial efficiency and happiness and retention and motivation and all that we've discussed early on. So that's it's my passion. I love personal growth and I love interpersonal growth, and one goes with the other one. Every new customer, every new challenge is an opportunity for myself as well to say, what can I learn from this? So it's give and take all the time, and that's what I love about it.
Frank, I want to thank you for sharing a lot of your wisdom today. And you bring and over the time of being able to work with you, you really show up consistently with your feeling of there is a peace that comes
Mm.
from within you, and it really shows through in just regular conversation. So I think you're a true gift to many managers out there who and individuals who are experiencing overwhelm and lack of time and stress. It's very toxic in our lives, and you really bring solution to this. And I want to thank you for putting your heart and your passion into a book that can be shared with this world.
Thank you very much, Gail. And just if I can add to that a little bit, if you don't mind, we've talked about Dalai Lama and Sun Tzu and Chinese philosophy and management. There's one chapter that a lot of people really liked in my pre-reading exercise, but it's called "Managing Like Winnie the Pooh." And when you imagine Winnie the Pooh, he doesn't seem like the most high achiever and performant character in the world. I mean, he's Winnie the Pooh, huggable, lovable Pooh. But again, there's a lesson there. Winnie the Pooh is always happy, and at the end of every story, he's made it. He achieved it, and things turned out right and good for him. So yeah, I mean, let's find the little Winnie the Pooh inside of us as a manager and be huggable, lovable managers.
I love that.
Mm.
Thank you for joining us today, Frank, and everybody go out there. Check out francesaudet.com to learn more, where you or Google him on Amazon to get a copy of this book. Everyone should get it, and also a great gift for someone in your life that you might find that is having challenges out there and needs that little bit of balance. So I want to thank our listeners for joining us today. Wherever you are in this world, we wish you a great day. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Gail.